It's Adrian Bo, auctioneer, and I'm providing you this evening with the market wrap for the week, and it's Saturday the 30th of November 2024. Today I had the privilege of conducting 7 auctions on behalf of Ray White Quakers Hill, the Tessalon Group. That's Josh Tessalon and his amazing team, Josh being the #1 Ray White agent internationally on the globe. And what we had was an incredible success rate of 85% clearance, and that's definitely going against the norm. And I like to be quite the contrarian against what is happening across the board. So if you look at last week's clearance rate nationally, it was only 62% throughout Australia. We personally had 100% clearance, and today 85% clearance. So that's some outstanding results there. Now, before we get into the results of the day, please don't mind Maz Has a Dirty Mouth by Shane Bowden. Shout out to you, one of my favourite artists and good friend of mine, Australian artist. Before we get into the results, let's have a little snapshot on the market. Okay, so firstly, as I said, last week's national auction clearance rate was 62%. Today, across Australia, we had 2,758 auctions occur, with Victoria leading the charge with 1,200 auctions. Now, the RBA cash rate is currently sitting at 4.35%. Now, the last increase we had was in November 2023, when we had a 25 basis point increase from 4.1 to 4.35%. Now, that's incurring current interest rates from the banks between 6 and 7%. You can usually get a deal around that. Now, the 4 major banks changed their prediction overnight. Now, they were suggesting we were going to see a decrease in interest rates in February of next year. Now they've pushed it back till May. Now that's probably because of the election, that no one wants to get involved in any speculation of the cash rate until after the election. And now there's even talk of interest rates actually going up. So there's certainly some confusion in the market. We're here to clarify any confusion, and all we do is focus on our process, which allows us to sell 85% or 100% clearance rate week on week, because we focus on outstanding and forensic vendor management, outstanding and forensic buyer work, outstanding and forensic marketing and presentation, and always providing a premium service to both buyers and sellers. Now, the other part of the market we need to look at is CoreLogic's home value index. Now, I love the home value index because it's a very objective piece of data, because it's not dissimilar to the Dow Jones, if you like, of the stock market. Now, the good news is we have had 21 months of constant increase in national home values across Australia. Now, clearance rates are one thing, because that tells you how many properties were sold and what percentage of those were sold on any given day. But the home value index gives us a total value of properties throughout Australia. And the great news, as I said again, is 21 months in a row, we have seen increases since November of last year. Now, the latest increase in October was 0.3%. That may not seem like much, but the direction we're heading in is a very positive one. And what you find there is 21 months of growth nationally on the value of property, not necessarily the clearance rate. And even if it's 0.3%, that's fine. We have seen some increases over the last 20 months or so of around 1, 2, or even 3%. So outstanding results there. Now, let's have a look at today. What an amazing cachet and variety of properties we had on display at auction. We had duplexes, we had townhouses, we set a suburb record, we had freestanding homes, we had entry level, we had beautiful properties all round. Now, there was certainly no shrinking violets bidding today. Let me tell you, they were aggressive and they were very proactive. And it started with 72 Tickborne Drive in Quakers Hill. Now, that sold for $1.5 million. We had 5 registrations, and that was a freestanding home, and we smashed the reserve price on behalf of the owner, and they were absolutely delighted. And the buyer was thrilled with the result. Then we went on to 10 Cooper Street in Blacktown. That sold for $1,296,000. We also had 5 registrations on that one. And again, we smashed the reserve price and we received an outstanding result. Now, the interesting story about Cooper Street, it was on the market with another agent for 3 months, and they had no offers and didn't sell it. Now, a big lesson here in real estate is that that particular agent was out of area. They're located in the Hills District. Now, let me tell you, they had absolutely no business representing a property in Blacktown. Blacktown is a very parochial area, and it needs to be represented by local agents like 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐦𝐞𝐬𝐭𝐚𝐦𝐩𝐬 and his team from Quakers Hill. So, really good story there. Obviously, the owners were delighted. They're located overseas, so you can imagine their anxiety levels having it on the market for 3 months with another agent with absolutely zero feedback, zero results. So Josh and the team smashed it out of the park today with that particular one. Then we go on to number 4 at 149 Flushcombe Road in Blacktown as well, and we sold that for $870. Now, that was over the reserve price. Now, that's an entry point into the market. Certainly a great location in Blacktown, one of the best parts of Blacktown, very close to some of the best schools in the country there, and that was with 4 registered parties. Then we went on to 3 at 54 Golding Drive in Glending, and that sold for $781,000. We had 4 registered parties, once again over the reserve price, and in fact we set a new suburb record for a townhouse in Glendinning. Now, what an outstanding effort there by the team. And then we went on to 41 Matthias Street in Riverston. We sold that for $1,011,000, and that's a freestanding home, 4 registrations, again over the reserve price. So what are we constantly doing? Exceeding expectations. What are we constantly doing? Is satisfying clients, whether they're buyers or sellers. And let me tell you, all the vendors today were absolutely delighted with their result, all providing vendor video testimonials immediately after the auction. And the buyers, as I said, there were no shrinking violets. They were absolutely not shy to bid. They were proactive and aggressive because they know that if they don't secure a property before Christmas, then it's going to be very difficult to locate another property once those sold stickers up. And also, the best news for those buyers, they can sit down and have their Christmas lunch knowing with security, with veracity, with confidence that they've secured a property before enjoying that beautiful meal of prawns or turkey or lamb or whatever it might be. So congratulations to all 6 buyers that we had today, because that Christmas lunch is going to taste a hell of a lot better than if you didn't purchase a property. Then we went to number 10 Dolomite Road, and that was in Cranebrook, and we sold that for an outstanding price of $773,333. Now, that's close to $100,000 over the reserve price. That's a duplex, and that was with 5 registrations. Outstanding result there for that particular property. Now, also, Ray White Quakers Hill, the Tessalon Group, leased multiple properties this month. In fact, had a record month in terms of new managements and leasing. Now, the lease of the week was number 2, Furzop Street in Marion. That lease for $625. That's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, no parking. So congratulations to Chloe there from the property management team and the leasing team at Ray White Quakers Hill. And certainly today was a lot of fun. There was a lot of passion, a lot of enjoyment. And what we did is we created in each auction a very safe symposium for all buyers to bid. And also a very safe and comfortable symposium for all vendors and sellers to feel comfortable that we were acting on their behalf and in their best interest. What I was very surprised with was speaking to 2 vendors today before the auction, and there was agents that lost the listing to Josh. Now, these owners told me that after losing the listing, they certainly weren't gracious in defeat. In fact, quite the opposite. They were almost arguing with the owner, almost abusing the owner, and certainly acting very unprofessional. And the owners could tell this because they told me themselves that that was a very unprofessional act in order to speak that way. And also they were saying very erroneous things about Josh and the team, which is absolutely ludicrous, very unprofessional. Those agents will not last long, and they're very nefarious and duplicitous agents. And I don't condone that type of activity whatsoever. So the media are obviously very insidious when it comes to putting out a narrative in the market. Now, it seems to be a positive and then a negative one. Either way, it's creeping into the minds of many buyers and sellers, creating confusion. The reality is this: if you're a seller and your circumstances dictate that it's the right time to sell, well, you accept the highest market value as long as you choose the right agent, market it well, price it well, and you'll get an outstanding result. For buyers, if you've got finance approved, well, let me tell you, in my opinion, you don't need to wait for the market to go up or down, because we had COVID and that was an absolute anomaly. That'll never happen again, where we saw 20 to 40% growth in some areas. These days, you're going to see 3 to 5% growth or 3 to 5% downsides in any given time. So you're going to hold property for 5, 7, 10 years' time. There's absolutely no need to worry about anything to do with when the market is the best to buy or the best to sell. You're never going to pick the market within an inch of its life to sell or buy. Why? Because you only know the peaks and the troughs after the fact anyway. Now, one final thing is the coaching tip of the week. When I was around the grounds and talking to agents, a lot of agents, when I was asking them about their KPIs, they said to me that they got the go-ahead on listings. Now, let me tell you, when they said that, I said, great, show me the signed agency agreement. And yes, that's right, they could not produce it, because the go-ahead is not a listing. The go-ahead is purely fictitious, and it doesn't mean anything, because you do not secure the listing until you've got ink on paper or you've got a DocuSign. So there's a huge, sharp contrast between the go-ahead and actually securing a listing. So I would remove that vocabulary from your dialogue, because the go-ahead, quote unquote, I think is internal vernacular, which is very unprofessional, and it certainly doesn't induce any form of confidence in you as an agent or as your brand or with your sales manager or principal. So a listing is a listing when it's a listing. A listing is not a listing when it's a go-ahead. So folks, I'll be back to you next week. I think as agents today with Josh, the team, and myself, I really feel in my heart that we conducted some outstanding and benevolent acts on behalf of our clients. I really feel that. Why? Because we saw tears of joy, because we were moving owners from A to B in their life. And that could have been downsizing, could have been moving out of the area, it could have been empty nesters, it could have been people that were looking to cash in on the current market. And then the buyers, we also provided a benevolent service for them because they were also in tears, securing their first home, for example, upsizing for their family and doing the right thing for their family. So what a great feeling. It's that altruistic feeling that we get by providing outstanding service and giving back to the industry. I'll see you next week. Adrian Bo signing out. Look forward to seeing you then.